What's up, guys? Crypto Muser here with your daily news and analysis in the crypto markets. So obviously we've seen some great momentum for Bitcoin in the last couple days. We pushed above 45,000 for a couple minutes today, but got rejected there, back maybe ranging in that $43,000, $45,000 level. Great sign to see Bitcoin doing what it's doing, right? It's kind of leading the market. We saw Bitcoin dominance kind of take a charge there against the rest of the altcoins. I think we will see at some point the altcoins start to take charge and take some of that Bitcoin dominance away. But obviously we're seeing this because of Bitcoin, because of the Russia and Ukraine, this run on the banks in Russia as we speak. The ruble has been dropping like crazy. People in Russia are looking towards crypto like Bitcoin, and also actually they're looking at stable coins in the same way as a hedge against their obviously failing currency in Russia. I think that this is also because of the rest of the world is seeing these geopolitical events in the same way. They're not. It's becoming more and more clear that other governments around the world, the way they print their money into oblivion, the way they do, they need to find that safe harbor asset to put some of their money in, right? I mean, if you think about it, gold and silver have always been that safe harbor asset, but nowadays it just seems like it doesn't make much sense to put your money in gold and silver. I mean, what are you going to bury your gold somewhere? Are you going to put it in a safe somewhere? But, if you have to flee the country or move with that gold and silver, it's almost impossible, right? If you have hundreds of pounds of gold and silver, how do you move that safely when you're trying to flee the country from war or conflict? It's almost impossible, right? But like I talked about in my last video, all you need is a thumb drive, like those nano ledgers, or an app on your phone, and you can, safely take your crypto with you wherever you go, right? So it makes more sense in that fact where, those safe harbor assets like gold and silver, it's becoming more of an option and a safer option to put your money into crypto than it is for gold and silver. And I'm sure Peter Schiff would have disagree with me on that, but I think that most people see now, and I think it's becoming more and more clear that crypto is obviously here to stay, and that especially with everything going on, like I said, these geopolitical events going on, I think it's more viable to turn to Bitcoin and other cryptos as that safe harbor asset. I got a couple things to talk about in the video today. But before I do, guys, if you could please like, subscribe, and leave comments down below, it'd be very much appreciated. But let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, the Ripple and SEC lawsuit. Obviously, I have to touch on that. We're getting more and more news basically every day now in this lawsuit because the fact discovery did end on Monday. Ripple could expect settlement for XRP lawsuit in April. So where are they getting that April timeline here? So Jeremy Hogan also posted this morning. Yes, a 1-hour settlement discussion happened a couple months ago. It didn't settle, which means that the next most likely settlement time would be a mediation, see arrow below, which will be hosted by the one and only Judge Netburn, who has also seen all the documents in this case. So let's zoom into this little document here and we'll see what it says here. All counsel must meet face-to-face or via video conferencing for at least 1 hour to discuss settlement within 14 days following the close of fact discovery. So fact discovery ended on Monday. So 14 days from that is March 14th. So March 14th is when they have an hour conversation where Ripple and the SEC will have a conversation about a settlement talk, right? What side gets what? What kind of fee does the SEC want? What obviously, Ripple wants clarity for XRP. They'll finally have that conversation, and I do believe that at this point, I think Jeremy Hogan said the other day, I think it's 95% of cases with the SEC do settle, and I don't believe this case will be any different. I think that we will see a settlement, and like that article said, in April, I believe you'll have this discussion on March 14th, and then they'll obviously come to their conclusion on what each side gets in this settlement, and then I believe you will see some type of headline or article that talks about a settlement in April. It could even be before that, right? It could be, it could be a day after this meeting, So, like I've been saying a lot in this channel, we're waiting for the settlement. We believe that it will happen. So now we kind of have a timetable of when those talks will happen. So, I'm looking forward to this. It's been a long case here. I think it's been almost a year and 3 months now, a year and 2 months. The XRP community and the crypto community as a whole can't wait for this thing to be over, right? We can't wait to see how this ends and how this affects the SEC moving forward with their regulation by enforcement strategy. So looking forward to seeing this, guys. We do now have a kind of a timetable on when this settlement might come down. So we guess we will see in the coming weeks. Next thing I saw here, this is Tony Edwards at Thinking Crypto. So this was huge news that came down yesterday. Tranglo is a payments cross-border payments company, and they tweeted out, "We're thrilled to announce today that we've enabled Ripple's on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP across all our payment corridors. This comes after a successful pilot of ODL deployment last September, which saw 250,000 transactions worth $48 million and US dollars processed in 100 days. So how many banks does Tranglo... Hold on a sec, I just did something there. How many banks does Tranglo work with? Tranglo flipped the switch for 1,300 banks in over 100 countries. So all those people out there that said that, Ripple, XRP is not being used by banks. I'll tell you, I'm telling you right now, other banks have used XRP, but now it is fact, right? This is fact. Tranglo flipped the switch on 1,300 banks utilizing XRP in 100 countries, guys. So everybody out there trying to say that XRP is not being used by banks, well, now it's 100% in your face. So, take that argument to the bank with you, right? Next thing I want to talk about. This is Digital Perspectives tweeted this out. This is a video that was from, I believe this is back in 2018. Joe Lubin was part of this discussion, and so was the CEO. Well, if you guys don't know who Joe Lubin is the co-founder of Ethereum, and he's also the CEO of Consensus. So this is a conversation, like I said, I don't know where, here it is. Where is the blockchain headed? So this was called "Where is the Blockchain Headed" in 2019. So it was in 2019, and the Ethereum. It was the Ethereal Lounge at Davos in 2019. Okay, so let's read the tweet that Digital Perspectives tweeted out. Watch Brad Garlinghouse stuff Joseph Lubin when he asked Joe, "How much Ethereum do you sell? Why hasn't there been a public audit of Ethereum? Ripple has been the most transparent of any company in the crypto space." So let's just listen to this real quick.
The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology. There's about over 150 validators that kind of manage that network. Ripple today manages fewer than 5% of those nodes, those validators. We can't enforce upon the XRP ledger anything that the XRP ledger doesn't want to adopt. So I think that people confuse, and I like there's a lot of FUD. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. There's a lot of misinformation that gets propagated, and I think that there are holy wars. There's financial interests in what happens here, and so people talk about the XRP ledger being centralized, I think, because they want to paint it that way. The XRP ledger is more decentralized than mining-based solutions because of the nature of proof of work and the centralization of proof of work mining that's happened, particularly in China.
Joe, you look like you let me jump in there just because Amanda's going to be happy if we have a little bit of controversy. So XRP is a value token and it trades in an open market. If the CFTC noticed that you owned 60% of the silver supply, how comfortable would they be?
I won't speak for the CFTC. We have in escrow 55% of all the XRP that we own. We can't sell it. We can't do anything with it. So we actually own about 13%.
So, but you do sell it regularly, right? Don't you sell it into the market?
We're transparent about that. How much do you sell? Transparency and maturity
when
is
necessary.
critical.
Sure.
And I think, look, I'm talking about transparency because I think for the whole industry to mature, we need to be transparent in the industry. Ripple, I think, has tried to lead by example with that. And I think there's other ecosystems that I have no idea what's going on in those ecosystems. And I don't think that's good for the whole industry. So I think that's bad for Ripple, too.
But they're decentralized in terms of ownership of the token.
Ownership of token is decentralized insofar as they work on a proof of stake. If it's a mining-based protocol, then centralization is based upon the mining control, not ownership.
One small aspect of the governance of the ecosystem could be considered centralized if you're talking.
So very interesting how Joe Lubin is a software engineer. Brad Garlinghouse is just a CEO, right? He's just a businessman. Just to see how Brad Garlinghouse kind of, I think he won that argument in a technical sense. Joe Lubin, obviously, like I said, co-founder of Ethereum. They don't, they're not transparent about their sales of Ethereum. I think that I've talked about in a couple videos ago how much the Ethereum founders have sold Ethereum, and he's trying to say how much money, how much XRP has the founders of Ripple sold, and the thing about Ripple is they're very transparent. They have a quarterly, they're a very transparent business. They have a quarterly numbers to show how much XRP was sold, what they did with it. They do have 55 billion in escrow, but like I said, they're transparent in everything they do. Right? They make sure that they don't do anything in a illegal way. So let's just see. There's another part of this interview that is very interesting, and the fact that he's asked the question. Joe Lubin has asked, how much, in the Ethereum founders in the Ethereum Alliance, how much Ethereum you guys selling, and can you be transparent about what you guys do with the Ethereum? And listen to what he says here.
To return to a point that Brad you were making, Joe, it's been said that you are one of the biggest Ethereum holders.
It has been said. I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes.
Based on no data.
How do you go about managing your treasury within Consensus and your own personal one?
I guess no comment.
So he will not be transparent. It's like you're going to call out Brad and how much XRP Ripple sells, but meanwhile, you're basically doing the same thing over at Ethereum, but you don't want to be, you don't want to be transparent. You don't want to let people know. It's just I can't help but to see. But Joe Lubin is very, I think he's jealous of the company Ripple. I think that he's jealous that Ripple is backed by all these, banks and everybody around the world. And the only way Joe Lubin and Ethereum and the founders and the Consensus could attack Ripple or could try to take over Ripple was this illegal way in getting the SEC to do their corrupt things that the SEC does, and everything. I think we're finding more and more with these Hinman emails, and Joe Lubin had conversations with Bill Hinman weeks, months before this speech was given back in 2018. It's becoming more and more clear that Joe Lubin is a crook, and we're going to see, I believe, from Empower Oversight, this government oversight agency is getting all these emails with William Hinman and other people that worked for the Ethereum Alliance, plus obviously Joe Lubin here. And I think we're going to find out in the coming weeks or months how crooked and how hypocritical Joe Lubin is in this interview here, because you could just tell by looking at him in this interview that he couldn't wait to try to call out Brad Garlinghouse. But I believe Brad Garlinghouse really stood his ground there, and I believe he won the argument. I just thought that was very interesting. You guys can check it out. John Deaton, I believe, shared it, but I think it was Digital Perspectives had the original.
The XRP ledger.
He had the original conversation at Davos back in 2019. So definitely check that out. It's getting very interesting with this. Like I said, the Empower Oversight, asking for these documents from the SEC. I believe we just got about 1,000 emails. I think we're going to get another probably, a couple thousand in the future. We're going to get some serious information on how, the SEC was working with the Ethereum Alliance and how they basically tried to stop, Ripple's business, but also help Ethereum in the same time, which is illegal right? And we're going to find out more and more about that in the coming weeks and months. Another thing I want to talk about at the end the video today. So I don't know if you guys know how I feel about Elizabeth Warren, but I believe she is the biggest fraud in politics at the moment. She always comes across as this, for the people politician that's against the big banks, and she's always trying to regulate the big banks and help the common man, right? I think that's totally BS. I think that she gets paid by the big banks, and it's all a front, basically, that she's, in quotations, against the banks. Meanwhile, she does basically nothing, right? And now she's all of a sudden against cryptocurrencies. And like I said, biggest fraud ever. Cryptocurrencies should be, if you're a progressive, like I said in quotations here, the cryptocurrency should be one of the biggest things that you should be for, right? You'd think. But for some reason, these so-called progressives are against cryptocurrencies and always, use this tagline that it's only for criminals and for money launderers. And like I said, now they're calling us white supremacists. It's all just a bunch of bullshit at this point. And like I said, Elizabeth Warren is one of the biggest frauds in politics. But Joseph Codleeb, I believe how you pronounce that. He is, what is he? Hold on. Lawyer, musician, family man, aspiring, polymath, regulatory enforcement, and litigation. So he posted this. I just thought this was a great thread, and I just want to read through it because it kind of points out. So let's just read Elizabeth Warren's tweet, and then I want to give you that response that that guy gave. Cryptocurrencies risk undermining sanctions against Russia, allowing Putin and his cronies to evade economic pain. U.S. financial regulators need to take this threat seriously and increase their scrutiny of digital assets. We've talked about, I think in my last video, I talked about how Russia definitely could not, in small transactions, yes, they could use cryptocurrencies, but like I said before, Russia sends $50 billion in their FX market in dollars. They can't move that much in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin because that's the infrastructure and the scalability is not there. And that Elizabeth Warren tries to, paint crypto in this way and saying that Russia can use crypto in these nefarious ways, it just shows me that she's uneducated. Either she's just, chooses not to be educated in crypto, or she's doing it on purpose, trying to basically work for the big banks, right? So let's just see what's his name again? Jason Gottlieb, I think you pronounce that. Dear Senator Warren, I am generally a fan of yours. I am a liberal progressive and support many of the same things you do. But you are absolutely wrong on crypto, and specifically wrong about this issue. Please let me explain. So let's read a couple parts of this thread. Yes, it is possible that Putin and his cronies will use crypto to move and hide money. But that was already possible and happening with cash, jewels, real estate, yachts, etc. There are conventional ways to stop money laundering that, if we try, work quite well. The U.S. sanctions, both pre-existing and newly enacted, will squeeze hard at Putin's inner financial circle. The Biden administration should be praised for these things. He's doing a great job managing this horrible situation. But shutting down crypto indiscriminately to Russians would be a disaster. Many Russians are either against the government or are pure innocents who are apolitical and don't support violence, just looking out for their family in a bad situation. But their government has failed them. As a result, the currency is collapsing. They can't move money. They can't leave, and the banks, their entire financial system may collapse. Innocent bystanders are going to suffer even more. Crypto, for all its flaws and issues, lets people maintain their own independent store of value. Yes, it is susceptible to market seesawing, but it's not affected by the ruble collapse or closing of the Sberbank ATMs. Fundamentally, crypto frees people from corrupt, evil, and incompetent intermediaries who can cancel their money at any time. It puts financial power back into the hands of individuals and out of the hands of the elites and banks. Isn't that one of the big goals of progressive financial policy? That, in a nutshell, is the progressive case for crypto. What about the money laundering by Putin and gang, you may ask? The answer is that it is absolutely much harder to launder money on systems that leave a publicly available immutable trace. Thanks to amazing work by the firms of TRM Labs and their leaders, tracing money laundering in crypto is arguably easier than tracing it in conventional methods. It's no secret that frontline AML enforcers like crypto an open invitation to you to you and your staff and I'm happy to come speak to you anytime to talk about crypto, why it is fundamentally liberal, progressive technology, and why with intelligent US regulation it will be the future of finance. There is no doubt, as you say, that regulation has a role to play in digital assets. I welcome that conversation so that the regulation is fully informed on what it can achieve and what it can't achieve, and what are the costs of getting it wrong. Very high. The TL and DR clamping down on crypto in Russia right now would hurt many ordinary citizens and not do much to hamper oligarch money laundering that we can't do already. Don't make innocents suffer for the evil rot of their leaders. I couldn't have said it more perfect, right? Crypto is such a progressive idea, and it's crazy to see all these so-called progressives, the way they talk about it. It's unbelievable, right? It just goes to show you that these people are paid by the big banks, right? Obviously, the banks are against this, and we know most of the politicians are corrupt, and they're paid by lobbyists and obviously big banks and other people. It just goes to show you that the power that these big banks and lobbyists have in politics. But also, the last thing I want to say about that, and it's along the same lines, Ari Paul also commented on that Elizabeth Warren tweet, and he said, all authorities that I've come across, including the FBI and DOT, have estimated that the USD is used to evade sanctions and for money laundering at more than 100 times the scale as Bitcoin. JP Morgan facilitated more money laundering via USD than all the money laundering on BTC. So, I mean, you think Elizabeth Warren doesn't know these facts? This is why I keep saying Elizabeth Warren is the biggest fraud out there. She likes to mislead the public in these ways. She likes to mislead, other politicians and other people at power to try to come against crypto in this way, and she couldn't be more wrong, right? And we're seeing right through this stuff, right? Just like I said, it's politicians like Elizabeth Warren that we need to get rid of in the Congress. That's why we need to vote in the midterms. That's why we need to vote in the presidential election. Voting is one of our biggest powers, guys. We need to use it, and like I said, use it to get these people that are anti-crypto and obviously not progressive, and we need to get them out of power, bottom line. So I will end the video there, guys, but just remember to like and subscribe and definitely comment down below. But remember, this is not financial advice. Please do not take anything I write or say as financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. And thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.